Body shot. Oh, that hurt, didn't it?
When the adrenaline starts pumping and you know what you can do with this right hand, it's hard to not do that.
Here are your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
What's going on, folks? Welcome back to another episode of the Bloody Water Podcast, UFC Paris. This is the first event in quite some time. I mean, you got the Abu Dhabi, you got the UFC Fight Island and all that, but are we slowly but surely making our way back to the UFC Brazil's UFC Paris? I think we are, and you gotta love it. Starring our man, Ciryl Gane, Bon Gamin. It is going to be a fun one. Lots of fights, lots of stuff to talk about, and a lot of fighters that not every hardcore fan would know. I guarantee a lot of casuals won't, but this is going to be a fun card, and I can guarantee you that. So let me bring in my co-host, the New Mexico native, the Santa Fe bomber himself. AJ, brother, how you living? It's been, what, a week and a half, 2 weeks without fights? I'm feeling like withdrawal symptoms. How are you feeling, brother?
Ooh, Derek, it felt like a longer break than just a week, brother, but it felt like an eternity without the fights going on. I was talking to people, moving and shaking, you know how we do over here in Austin, Texas, man, and it felt like I was lost without a home, but it's good to be back. It's good to see some fights, even though I agree with you on the name value. A lot of these fighters are going to be kind of overlooked, but either way, it's going to be a very fun card to watch, man. Some serious scrappers out here.
Absolutely, and I mean, let's not get things twisted, right? There was a lack of UFC. There wasn't a lack of MMA, right? You even had Dana White Contender Series, right? You had that going, lots of good finishes. Mighty Mouse, he got his belt back against, Adriano Moraes or something like that. I forget homeboy's last name, but you know, Mighty Mouse got the belt back. There was some good MMA going on, but there's something that hits a little bit different about the UFC. There just is production value, big names, you know, just hype, having John Anik on the mic, you know, all that. There's something that hits different. So, AJ, brother, before we get everything going, let's just knock out a little bit of housekeeping really quick, man. First, I want to show love to all of the good folks that are supporting the Bloody Water Podcast, man. I can't say it right, but you still show the love nonetheless, man. You guys are so important. You make this whole entire thing worthwhile, and the word of mouth marketing that is kind of going on right now, that's the key. That's the bread and butter. AJ, you're kind of talking about, you know, you just be out doing your thing on the street. I know a lot of people have hit up the platform just because of your little, hey, go check out the pod, all that stuff, man. So if you want to take a second, you know what I mean, give a shout out to any of the homies over there in Austin, Texas, or wherever around the world, please take a second, brother.
Ooh, man, it's actually too many to name, brother, because like I got homies back in Santa Fe that actually shout out to the stream as well. They'll jump on the stream, and I'm always plugging it. I tell them, go hit the home, the hub, your favorite fighter's favorite fight show, man. But man, I'm actually drawing a blank because there's a lot of the dudes out here that I actually just talked to, where I force them. I'm like, yo, dog, just download their, hit up Spotify right now. Press follow. You know, YouTube, press follow right now. That is what it is. But a lot of people, man, they even tell me, actually, shout out. You know what? I do got to give a big shout out to my homie Jordan McNeil, man, the gorilla out there and in Farmington, New Mexico. He's shouting me out all the time, man. He's talking a lot about it. And he actually said the biggest thing is, man, these dudes actually know what they're talking about. They get it in. We live the life. We put the research in. So shout out to you, Grill, man. I know you watching out there. Anyone else that I forget already just because I got put on the spot, man, that's my bad. You know I love you either way, but I do appreciate all the love as always.
There we go. And listen, man, I didn't mean to put you on the spot because I get it. You get put on the spot, you're like, oh, man, who do I need? Yeah, no, so I'm in the same boat with you right there. Way too many people to name. I do want to give a big shout out to my buddy Cruz over there. Shout out Carlson Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Shout out Cruz. I know you're watching this one, and I know you're about to try to get ahead. I got to get ahead of this because I know you're going to be talking some crazy shit in the comments, right? Let me tell a little quick story I was telling my guy AJ off air real fast. Carlson Gracie Jiu-Jitsu out here in Henderson, Nevada. That's where I train at. And we actually had a guest appearance. Eric, your boy Anders, UFC star, former Alabama national champion over there, came through. It's a Masters Worlds Jiu-Jitsu competition going on right now. So you know how it goes. Coming in, get some little shakeouts on, get some work going, and then all that, right? It was our last day at the gym. We're moving over to a new gym, different location, same gym, same Carlson Gracie. But it was just funny because, hey, I see your boy. He's over here. He's getting it, right? I'm like, hey, I want to pay my respects, all that. What's up, brother? Let's get in a good roll. We got a nice little roll in, a nice little flows, open mat style. Cruz, I ain't get 10-8'd, brother. I got the video to prove it, you know what I'm saying? But I had to get ahead of it, you dig? So hopefully, hey, if your boy is watching this, man, we're going to get your boy, Eric Anders, here on the pod, on the Bloody Water Podcast. Little by little, we're moving up, but that is why it is important. My man, AJ, he's anchored down there in Austin, Texas, but I got it locked down in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada, baby. Let's get it. So, folks, I know you normally come in and you say, why are these dudes talking our heads off right now? We're going to take a step back and we're going to get to the good stuff now, man. All the housekeeping is all out the way right now. Check the scoreboard, folks. 104-58 for me, 102-60 for my man AJ. And what this means is that little break, that little pause was probably much needed, because now it's go time, man. We're hitting home stretch here. So every week counts. This week counts more than ever, because either I stay in the lead, we get a little closer, or AJ retakes his lead that he's had all year. So keep an eye out on that. But AJ, let's talk some poster review, brother. Let's get it, my man. All right. So Ciryl Gane, Tai Tuivasa, Robert Whittaker, Marvin Vettori. This was two colossal matchups, I guess you could say, put on the same card, so much so that they said literally on the poster, we can't just have one headline, we have to show both right here. If you had to take just kind of a look at it right now, given that Gane and Tuivasa, it's their heads, right? You know, it's kind of more a close-up. Whittaker, Vettori is the whole body. Who do you say is getting more love, even though this is a Paris card? Who's getting more love on this poster, AJ?
Man, I see where you're going there, Derek. I kind of feel like it's Whittaker and Vettori, man. Even though they get made to look like little mini monsters out there with how big Gane and Tuivasa are, but it seems like, you know, being pushed to the background, being relegated to the background behind a couple of those paint swipes that they have going on, seems like they're kind of highlighting Whittaker and Vettori. I do gotta laugh though, because no matter what, if you're always thinking about Paris, even for the casuals, you gotta throw in the Eiffel Tower. Even though most people, they instantly say like, man, why you gotta do that? Well, you gotta do it on the poster apparently. So, but I agree. I think at least Whittaker and Vettori are kind of getting a little bit more of a push up there. I think the UFC might think that might be a little bit more entertaining of a fight than we're gonna see in Gane and Tuivasa. I don't know though. What do you think?
We're gonna talk about that in a second, brother. I'll just say this: I'm surprised that they even gave Vettori the cover with his, you know, the full body, because you remember it was not only just a couple of fights ago, I think when he was fighting Adesanya for the second time, and he did the photo shoot with the shorts on backwards. So I thought it was all shoulders and above at this point, right? But nah, we there. So listen, let's grade it, man. Let's give it a score 1 through 10. I'm gonna be honest with you. I like the gold. I like that you got a lot going on. That Eiffel Tower in the middle is not creative whatsoever. I'm just going to say this. Paris card, we're getting back international. You let me down a little bit. I'm going 4. And I do not care if it's a harsh criticism. I'm giving it a 4, brother. Let's go. What are you giving it?
Yeah, Derek, I got to rock right there with you, man. I'm rocking a 5. I didn't even notice there's any gold on there. So that's a color blindness, but it's not enough for somebody to notice. So yeah, man, I'm rocking a 5.
All right, 4 and 5 respectively across the board. And what that means, folks, is that if you don't want to, you probably shouldn't even go out of your way to look at this poster, if we're being real right here. But folks, all right, man. So you know what the deal is. Next, we're gonna jump into the TLDR. That means if you just came through, you want some picks, you want to run to the sports book, we got you. Stick around though if you want to know our rationale, our reasoning behind it, and then we'll jump into some sleepers. So let's go. All right, my man, TLDR is here. UFC Paris and AJ. This was a make or break week, but it looks like we have some very similar picks across the board. So let's just run them down real quick. Let's talk about the similar picks, and then we'll talk about the lone differentiating pick right there. So main event, Ciryl Gane, Tai Tuivasa. Long story short, AJ, I think majority of people know who is the better, more technical, well-rounded, legitimate fighter. It's Ciryl Gane, 10 out of 10 times, right? Tai Tuivasa, he just has that it factor, right? We know if he's gonna win, it's probably gonna be my knockout, and you have to keep with him this like new resurgence of Tai Tuivasa, because he wasn't always like this. You got to keep it in mind. He can always win a fight because all it takes is one shot. And with heavyweight specifically, it's a matter of just don't get touched. Ciryl Gane just happens to be a master of not getting touched. You know what I mean? So were you landslide, Ciryl Gane all day, or did you really give some thought? Like, Tuivasa could pull this off. What do you think?
Tuivasa can pull this off, Derek. There's a saying in there that actually Tuivasa gave, where it says, if I touch Ciryl, I sink Ciryl. Biggest word right there for me is the if factor, but we'll get into that with the end, because not a landslide, but I agree Ciryl Gane is the better fighter by a vast majority.
Absolutely, and obviously that's the big talking point. It's the big fight we're going to be talking about today. But in terms of all the other fights, Alessio de Chirico versus Roman Kopylov. Folks, if you do not know who Roman Kopylov is, you're in for a treat. Alessio de Chirico, he's always a fun fighter. We're both rocking de Chirico right there. You do have the return of a fighter who I thought he kind of was done. Like, career was done a few years ago. But we're talking about John Makdessi versus Nasrat Haqparast, and Makdessi is back and he's ready to take on a killer in Haqparast, who's been underperforming a little bit in terms of Haqparast, but I do think it's going to be a good fight. Both of us, we are rocking with Nasrat Haqparast, good boxer, I believe, fighting out of Iraq. Now, AJ, there is a new debutante matchup here, right? Which we were kind of off air, like, weird that it's on the main card. Either way, matchup wise, we watched the film study. We know it's going to be a fun fight. You have William Gomis versus Jarno Errens, and I believe that I said that right. Yes, Jarno Errens. There we go. We're both rolling with Gomis. Basically, more or less, this is striker versus grappler. Very, very athletic, explosive striker in Gomis. A very athletic and explosive grappler. And Errens, man. Now, we'll talk about the X's and O's there, but I think we both like Gomis here. He is the betting favorite. Were there any reservations in the back of your mind going into this pick?
A little bit, just because Gomis can be drawn into that kind of a dogfight, and Errens is a very much game to go down that rabbit hole either way, man. I think they added this fight just because both of these guys are a French fighter, but also both of these guys are scrappers nonetheless. This one's going to be a very fun fight. You got to keep your eyes on.
Absolutely. And then lastly, we do have Charles Jourdain, who's coming off a loss to Shane Burgos, which I think we all can agree it was a moral win, even if you do count it as a loss. And a lot of people, they count it as an actual win. But if you're in Charles Jourdain, you're on a win streak right now. You know what I mean? Mentally, you're on a win streak. So what I will say here is that the opposition he's fighting in Nathaniel Wood, this is going to be a step up to 145, right? This is going to be a little bit different. Nathaniel Wood can give Jourdain some problems. I'm just going to tell you that. I'm a little uneasy about the pick, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit more, but we are in consensus. Charles Jourdain is the pick. And then lastly, AJ, the lone unconsensus pick, Bobby Knuckles, Marvin Vettori. And hey, you got the pick that everybody in their moms is going to be picking, right? Bobby Knuckles, Robert Whittaker, former middleweight champion, the Reaper. Now, AJ, if there's one live dog on this card, I think it's Marvin Vettori. And the reason why is because we know he's durable, right? It's going to be really tough to knock this man out of there. We know he can grab a hold of you and he could change the outcome of the fight just by laying on you. You know what I mean? All he needs to do is lay and pray. That's it, right? He's not afraid to do that if that means one step closer to fighting Adesanya again, or whoever holds the title for that championship run again. Now, the question comes down to, can Bobby Knuckles really show the world, hey, it's Adesanya, it's me, maybe Alex Paeta, and then there's everybody else. So we'll see. So I'm taking the upset pick. I'm taking the live dog pick. I'm taking the one pick that if I get it right and you get it wrong, brother, I think I got a heads up on the week. So remember, folks, as much as this is sports betting, as much as this is wagering, this is competition, and I'm in it to win it, and so is my man AJ. So that's where we go right there. Now, be honest with me before we break it down. 1 to 10, worry level in terms of Vettori pulling an upset over Whittaker. What is your worry level?
Ooh, I think it's a little scary on my end. I'm going to say like a 7, just because sometimes Whittaker doesn't perform to his best of abilities. He always performs to his opponent, and sometimes we can see a snoozer fight out of Whittaker, man. Bobby Knuckles, if he shows up, though, it's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, yeah. But you're right, Marvin Vettori has a lot of different ways in which he can win this fight, especially just eating punches and demoralizing your opponents and walking through you like Angry Marvin can.
Angry Marvin. So, folks, those are your UFC Paris picks. Run to the sports book, go place them in, and then hit us up in the comments after you win a ton of money and tell us who you were rocking with, whose picks you were rocking with, what parlay you rolled with, the whole entire 9. All right, folks, that's it. We promised you those are the picks. That's the short story, quick version. Now for the rest of the show, you dig. Let's jump into some sleepers, brother. Let's get it.
It's time for some fight night.
If you ain't paying attention, you're gonna sleep on me and I'm gonna wake you up.
All right, my man. So we got some sleepers on our hand, and we got some fun ones. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, AJ, when I was looking over these. I mean, for my sleeper, it's a little more name value than yours, I guess I could say. But if you know anything about heavy hitters, dudes who got bombs in their hands and dudes who are really going to come to fight, then you're going to know about both of these matchups. Probably yours more than mine now that I'm actually thinking about it. But let's talk about it nonetheless, brother. Talk to me. Who is your sleeper for UFC Paris, my man?
Brother, I'm rocking with Khalid Taha versus Christian Quinones, brother. This is gonna be a banger of a fight, and for the hardcore fans out there, you heard about Khalid Taha before. This dude, the Warrior, he's been on a little bit of a rough streak, but he's fought some big names, man. The mini Bruno Silva, Raoni Barcelos, Sergey Morozov. This dude's fought a lot of people when he came into the UFC that have had a little bit better of time than him. You know, you can see the no contest against Bruno Silva. Don't know why that one was overturned, but he is on a 2-fight loss streak in hhis last 2 fights. Now, he had I believe he was fighting. Who was he fighting before he fell out? Taylor Lupilius. I don't know that cat either, but he did have a fight that fell out. So he had to extend Christian Quinones, coming off a contender series win, had to step in, take the short notice fight, and now he's fighting up against a big dog in the big stage at UFC Paris. And Quinones, like I said, coming off of a Contender Series win. One of the things that that kind of intrigued me a little bit about this dude is he got the unanimous decision win the Contender Series and got the contract, which he had to do something, or at least have something in the past that showed Dana White that this dude's the real deal, man. You either get knockouts or you get relegated to the back, except unless you're one of these fighters that actually proves something to Dana White. And you can see it right there, folks. A lot of people are betting on Quinones, especially by decision. But either way, if you look back, you see that big red mark, man. Both of these guys have a very good chance, or at least a similar chance, of knocking each other out, man. I picked this fight in particular, one, because there's a lot of fights that fell out, and this was the one that jumped off the page to me for two dudes who can go in, scrap, knock each other out. But as a younger fighter, as a guy stepping in the short week notice, Quinones can actually have a lot of heat behind him, and a lot of push, a lot of push is the best way to say it. Push going forward to be the actual fighter, and taking out a dude like Khalid Taha is a big step up in competition and a big name to actually get under your belt. And for Khalid, you got to be feeling all the pressure to not let this young dude come in and put you on a 3-fight losing streak, especially with all the cuts we see all the time. Man, there's dudes who can some guys get like 8 losses in a row, but you've done a lot for the UFC. When you're in Taha's position, you need to make every single fight count. And this is a big one. I see a lot of motivation for both fighters on this one. It's going to be a very entertaining fight, a washing machine kind of style of battle. Knuckles either way, man, it's going to be a great time. Derek, what do you think, and who's your sleeper?
Now, I'm going to be honest with you, AJ. That was a very well-spoken, elaborate, drawn-out sleeper that you had right there. It's going to be a fun matchup. It's as simple as that, man. You line up Khalid Taha and anybody else, you know it's going to be some banging going on. But for my sleeper here, AJ, I'm going to keep it short, sweet, concise, and to the point. Because in all honesty, you only need to know really 2 things about both of these fighters in this matchup coming up. I'm going to be talking about Benoit Saint-Denis. Yes, I said that right. Benoit Saint-Denis of Paris, France, right? Maybe not Paris, France, but of France right there. He's going to be fighting Gabriel Miranda. The 2 things you need to know about these fighters. 1, Benoit Saint-Denis, his nickname is the God of War. This is a man who is looking to wrestle. He's looking to grapple, and he wants to submit you. If you look at the win in his last fight, we're going to be looking at a win against, and it's not pulling up for me. Oh, no, there we go. Nicholas Stolze. And if you remember anything about Nicholas Stolze, the whole entire bread and butter of his game in the UFC was grappling, and he got out-grappled, choked out, rear naked choke against Saint-Denis. You look at the fight before that, he lost the fight to Zaleski dos Santos. OG veteran, you know what I mean? That's going to be a tough fight against anybody right now. This is the dude who knocked out Sean Strickland, right? He did like a spinning wheel kick, knocked his block off. Couple wins before that outside of the UFC, but the point is that submission, get you on the ground and pound, TKO. For Gabriel Miranda, this is a man making his UFC debut, so there's going to be definitely some pressure. This is a pressure spot for him, but if you look at his wins, last win, rear naked choke. Then he got a submission. His loss was a decision loss to Ahmed Magomedov. You never want to fight a dude named Magomedov. You already know that's going to be a bad spell right there. But then before that, submission win. Here's the thing you need to know about 2 submission, primarily domination fighters right there. You get together, one person is either going to inflict their will on the others, or you're going to have a ton of scrambles. You're going to have some stand-up fighting, some kickboxing, and you're just going to have an overall just scrappy fight. And that's kind of the whole entire point. So I'm going to keep it short, sweet, to the point. And if you just scroll down and you look at who they're giving the favor to, it's clearly Benoit Saint-Denis. The reason why is because this dude, in my humble opinion, is a world beater. Saint-Denis is the real deal, man. Like, this dude is going to be making some waves. And then let's not forget the icing on the cake. This is at 155 pounds. If there's 2 divisions, you know there's going to be absolute fireworks in. It's lightweight and it's bantamweight. 135, 155, simple as that. This is going to be must-watch television right here. This is going to be blood all over the camera, all over the screen. This is going to be fun, folks. So those are your sleepers. Like I said, mine's a little shorter, sweeter, concise, right? Do not mind the elaborate nature of it. And when it comes down to it, for me, you look at a sleeper, I just tell you, hey, knockout artist, submission guy, 2 submission guys, boom, watch it. Enough said. Folks, those are your sleepers. Please tune in. We have a bunch of other fun prelim fights that we might get a chance to talk about later. But without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody in between, let's talk about the main card, brother. Let's get it.
Here's to another main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
All right, my man. This is the one. This is the one right here. Ciryl Gane, Bon Gamin, right? Interim heavyweight champion. You get the shot against Francis Ngannou, and you arguably defeat yourself, if that makes sense, right? It was a very close fight going into that 5th round, and Ciryl Gane did the one thing that, like, you probably shouldn't do, which is like be in a dominant position and then fall back for a strained ankle lock, which is like Francis Ngannou. This dude is, a human tank. You're going to straight ankle lock that man? I just find it a little hard pressed to believe that. However, learning lesson, the man came in. He says, I finally got my first loss or whatever the case may be. All right, I got that. Now I'm going to just destroy everybody. Tai Tuivasa, though, brother. Let's talk about this man. This is the resurgence. This is the comeback, right? This is Tai Tuivasa 2.0. And knocking out the man that he knocked out to get to where he is today, I think is a very, very impressive feat, brother. So talk to me, my man. Tai Tuivasa, he's getting a lot of love. He's the popular vote here, even though Ciryl Gane is a much more talented, well-rounded fighter, and Tai Tuivasa even said that himself. He says he might even be the better fighter, but we're going to see on Saturday who showed up to fight, right? That's the X factor. Talk to me about that. How can Tuivasa inflict his will in terms of, I'm not going to be technical with you. We're going to fight. Talk to me, brother.
Well, that's exactly it, Derek. Tai Tuivasa's there to brawl, man. He's there not just to actually, engage and let the fight come to him. This dude's going to be on the front foot the entire time. All forward pressure, big bombs. If he can get you up against a clinch or get you up against a cage like we saw against Derrick Lewis, he's throwing elbows, he's throwing knees, he's throwing all this dirty stuff. And not dirty in the sense of like it's cheating, but dirty in the sense of it cuts you up, man. It hurts you in the middle. He'll throw liver shots, man. I was watching, it was like a 7-fight highlight reel of Tai Tuivasa knockouts, and whether this dude's hitting you to the body or ripping shots to the head, this is putting all power behind his shots, and he can catch you not only in just a flurry, but in some pretty slick moves, pretty slick 1-2s, digs to the body, all this stuff that you don't really think of a big guy as doing. You think you just going in there and throw mad hammers around. But Tuivasa, nonetheless, that he's bringing the brawl, but he's bringing a technical brawl, man, and in a kind of like a vicious way of him, coming in, and a vicious nature that he has with the pressure that he likes to put on. Unfortunately for him, though, that kind of works in Gane's favor. This dude's going to be on his bike all day. One of the things he was talking about, he's like, I want a Bongamin style win, touch and not be touched. And that's kind of what I'm seeing going to be happen, man. Somebody on the bicycle the whole time. Do you think that if you're on the bicycle the whole time, you're on the back foot, you're doing lateral movements, you're getting out, you're not getting hit, maybe you're landing a couple jabs, but you're not really engaging in the fight. Is that something that's going to win you the fight but not win you crowd points? Or is it something that's technical enough that you're gonna get a couple fans from this one as well, Derek? What do you think?
Well, you got to think about it. It goes one of two ways, right? When he fought Derrick Lewis, I mean, he was touch and go. He was like, when Lewis would start throwing the bombs, that's like what we praised him for. He would like run. He would literally we say like run, right? No, he would literally be like, oh no, I'm out of there. Get me away. Let me reset. Let me get back comfortable. And what did he end up doing? He ended up TKOing him. So it could go one of two ways, right? It could be a boring decision like Jairzinho Rozenstruik or like Alexander Volkov, right? Wasn't the Volkov fight a decision? Yeah, both the decision wins, right? So like it could go that way, or you could end up in a finish because Tai Tuivasa, let's be real about it, man. He does have 3 losses. If I'm not mistaken, let me just pull it up real fast. Sorry, folks, I should have had this already. His two losses that came from finishes. One was a submission, one was a knockout, and then one was a decision. We're talking about Sergey Spivak, Blagoy Ivanov, and Junior Dos Santos. So that's something you really got to take into consideration here. So I think regardless of whether the fans like it or not, Ciryl Gane, how did he get to a championship? By doing Bon Gamin style wins, right? Why did he lose to Francis Ngannou? Because he did not necessarily fight like Bon Gamin. He started doing some, a little weird tactics that weren't on par with the rest of his victories. However, to me, this is the Derrick Lewis fight all over again. It's hard for me to see this any other way. And the reason why is because even look at that Derrick Lewis fight versus Tai Tuivasa. I love the Black Beast, man. I can't discredit the man, even though he's taken a couple losses recently. But he was very much in that fight. Tai Tuivasa just outdogged him. Now, if Ciryl Gane never engages in that fight, if he fights his Bon Gamin fight, what is Tai Tuivasa's edge here? You know what I mean? You just got to crack him. And even, it's funny, when we were talking with Eric Anders yesterday, man, we are talking about gambling on mixed martial arts fights, and he says, you can't bet on MMA because all one dude needs to do is just close his eyes and start swinging, and it's over. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, well, if Tuivasa does that, that's money right there. But Ciryl Gane, man, I just see, if this fight happens 10 times, you can never say 10 out of 10, but I'll give it a 9 out of 10. I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10 if we can do half-point decimals right there. Let's be honest, man. Tai Tuivasa, aside from I'm going to storm you and I'm going to corner you, even though this is a huge cage, so that's another disadvantage there, and I'm just going to throw the heat and throw the leather on you. Does Tuivasa try to wrestle or something like that? Because Gane's the better wrestler, so what's the path to victory besides knockout?
I think knockout's the way to go. I don't really know because you're not going to outpoint the man.
No.
I do agree with you. Ciryl Gane's probably the better wrestler. Now, the one thing that I can see is a different path than closing your eyes and just swinging for the fences. If you watch the Rashad Coulter fight, you can see Tai Tuivasa has some banger of leg kicks, man.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're able to just stop that lateral movement of Ciryl Gane, then he's forced to be in that dogfight. Then he's forced to fight non-Gamin style. He's actually forced to sit there back and see what's going on, man. If you can't move around like that, then Tuivasa actually has a chance. What do you think the likelihood is that we're going to see some crazy leg kicks out of Tai Tuivasa without getting pieced up in the hands throwing those leg kicks?
I think it's unlikely, and the only reason I'm not even trying to discredit Tai Tuivasa. I'm just talking about look at the matchup, but also look at the externals outside of the matchup. Big cage, right? That favors Gane. Crazy movement. It's going to be hard to sit there and land that. Think about the Muay Thai that Ciryl Gane did prior to his UFC. You're ready for the leg kicks, man. You're checking that all day long. All the boxes are checked in favor of Ciryl Gane, no pun intended. So let's just talk about the actual bread and butter about it, brother. You got a TKO prop plus 125, decision at plus 225. Are you surprised to see that the TKO prop is less value than the decision prop? Because that kind of blows my mind. Tai Tuivasa has been knocked out by one man, and that was a ground and pound victory. So talk to me there.
I was shocked to see that as a plus 125. If anything, I felt like the TKO artist was going to be Tai Tuivasa. I can see why they're not giving it to him on the edge, but I definitely thought it would be flipped. The decision to be the 125, the TKO for Ciryl Gane be the plus 225. Interesting to see what they're going for right there as the odds makers. But if like you said, if you're talking about like this is the same kind of fight as a Derek Lewis fight, get technical, let the other guy get frustrated. Piece him up 1-2 down the pipe. Here we go. So I can see it now.
Yeah, man. And if you look at just Tuivasa's record, you go down the list, man. You got round one, round two, round one, round two, round two, round one. Like if I'm looking for 3 rounds, man, you have to go all the way back to like the beginning of his career. So I just think that like TKO can definitely happen here. However, do you think Tuivasa could just write out a decision? Not a win, but can he not get finished by Ciryl Gane here? Because I think that's a very highly likely outcome right there, man. He has proven to be very durable. So what do you think?
Proven to be durable and proven that if you hurt him and you rush in too fast, he can crack you and drop you, just like we saw with the Greg Hardy fight. I don't think Gane's going to do that. So that's why I'm leaning a little bit more towards decision here. I think Gane's going to be smart enough to know I can't just go in and dominate this dude in 2 rounds, 3 rounds. This is going to be a 4 or 5 round fight. I'm betting on that decision win because Tai Tuivasa is so durable. It's going to be how much gas is in the tank and what really happens on those, the movement style.
The only thing that worries me, man, is that it's like I'm replaying the Derek Lewis fight in my mind. Like, if Gane gets comfortable with Tuivasa's pace and he kind of figures out like his flow a little bit, right, and he gets comfortable and he just starts sitting there, then that's when he starts unloading. It's not round 1, not round 2. It's round 3, round 4. That's when he starts. Oh, okay, now I'm gonna start sitting down on my shots. I just think Tuivasa is going to be a little bit too tough to get the knockout, man. And I don't want to discredit Gane because I think Gane, literally, if there's not Ngannou there, I think Gane is the champion aside from, Stipe, John Jones, and all that stuff. I got Ciryl Gane, man. I'm going to write out a decision in this one. I'm just going to keep it simple. It's tough because the over and under on this one is 3.5 rounds. And believe it or not, minus 125 for the under. So the odds makers think a finish is happening. I just think that Ciryl Gane is going to be elusive enough to not get knocked out, and I think he's not going to jump on the opportunity if it does present itself, because the fireworks coming back from Tuivasa makes it not even worth it. Especially you just saw Usman get his head knocked off his shoulders after basically dominating a fight, for more or less, right? So how you going? How do you see it, brother?
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm going Gane, and I'm going by decision. There's a moment there where I think that 4th round knockout is something to really pay attention to, but I think Tai Tuivasa is going to be a little bit too durable. That's what gives me the pause for hesitation. I'm going Gane, and I'm going decision.
Yeah, and I think decision is really the only prop to play right here. I in terms of betting, I would not minus 625. You're not betting on that. What are we talking about here? Plus 225. That's actually pretty good value for a very probable outcome. So that is your main event right there. That is the star of the Paris show right here. But your co-main event, which more or less is a main event. Like, this could very well just headline any other fight night. You got Bobby Knuckles. You got Angry Marvin Vettori. Let's go. Number 1 versus number 2 in the middleweight division. But the unfortunate part about this, man, is like it feels like this fight is more or less meaningless, right? Think about it like this. Adesanya versus Paeta. It's already happening, right? Boom. That's already set up. So let's say Adesanya defends. Okay, well, he already beat Whittaker twice. You already beat Vettori twice. Neither of these dudes can get another shot. I'm sorry. I mean, what's the likelihood of that happening? They get another title shot again? Like, Whittaker probably has the better argument to be made because his last fight was really close, right? But what do you think?
I mean, what's the chance of either of these guys getting the slot, man? If Adesanya defends, I think slim to none. I think they're gonna be looking for new blood. Honestly, I think if Whittaker wins this fight, maybe if he loses it as well, I think he jumps up. You know, they're flirting with the idea. Everyone's talking about it, jumping up to 205. But what's the likelihood of him getting a title? Whether that's what he wants. Very unlikely, man. And I think if he jumps up, there's at least new life and a new path ahead of him. I think it's a little more likely for him to get the shot. But even then, man, I don't see that fight selling. You see that fight on the poster. You excited? Not really.
No. And you know what? I love Bobby Knuckles, man, but I think Marvin Vettori is, out of these two, probably has a better shot of having success at 205. Like, if we're just being real about it, right? Like, Vettori has the frame to do it. Whittaker, he has the frame, but he's short, man. He's just so short. So it's just a little problematic. And I'm not trying to hate, but I'm just going to leave that for what it's worth. All right, brother. I mean, they're both 6 feet tall. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like Vettori doesn't have that striking style where the height really predicates. All he has to do is shoot him for the takedown. Anyways, man, Robert Whittaker, Marvin Vettori. It's kind of odd to see this matchup being made, specifically because Whittaker, I mean, look at who he's fought recently, man. He's been fighting basically championship fights, man. Yeah, he had a couple things here and there outside of the championship realm, but it almost feels disrespectful to a degree because a lot of people, they like Vettori here, right? And I think not for a wrong reason, but it's like Whittaker has to prove himself again. I have to show you guys how good I am. You forgot? Y'all must have forgot. Yeah, Adesanya is in here and he took over, but I was the guy, right? He's the guy. So how does he win this fight, AJ? In terms of like on the feet, you got to give it to Whittaker, man. He is levels ahead of Marvin Vettori in terms of a striker, and you can almost argue in terms of just a complete fighter. I mean, Whittaker got great wrestling. He has great takedown defense. Vettori has something a little bit different, though. And this is what I'd like to argue about Vettori, and this is why I'm ultimately going to pick Vettori. He got that dog in him, bro. He's got that, like, immigrant mentality times 10 coming from Italy, bro. Like, and he always says it. I'm getting better. I'm hungry. King's MMA. Da-da-da-da-da. Whittaker, he's still the same guy he was last year. Arguably some of the same stuff he said about Adesanya, if we're being real here. Like, the trash talk is kind of just revolving at this point. But I do think Vettori has that dog in him, and he's never out of a fight, and he never runs out of gas, man. His cardio is just incredible. When it comes down to the grappling style, it's incredible. So, I mean, if you're Robert Whittaker, should you be scared of Marvin Vettori here, or is this just a proving ground? It's just like, oh, I'm about to put on a show, baby. Let's go. What do you think?
Man, if you're not scared of Marvin Vettori, you're making a big mistake, I think, because this dude, he is there to kill. You know, that's the thing about Marvin Vettori. If you take a second off, you take just a little bit of lax, a little bit of hesitation, Marvin Vettori is going to put you on your butt and either going to pound you out or lay and pray if he's, depending on the kind of night Marvin Vettori is having. But either way, this dude is very dangerous. And the scary part about him is he can take a wallop. You know, he can take a beating and keep on walking right through you. And that's demoralizing. You're hitting the dude with everything you got, you're cracking him left and right, and this dude's still pissed off, walking straight forward, bloody or not. That's the kind of deal you're working with Marvin Vettori, man. And especially if Marvin Vettori is on that night, I feel like that's kind of the catalyst of what's going on here. Robert Whittaker was talking about on his pre-fight presser that the best Robert Whittaker can beat the best Marvin Vettori. But the thing that worries me is sometimes, and why I think a lot of what you were saying is true, where a lot of people kind of forgot about Robert Whittaker, and this is a proving ground fight, is that sometimes he doesn't perform to his best of abilities. So can a mediocre or the worst Robert Whittaker beat a Marvin Vettori? I don't know. That's kind of where I have a little bit of hesitation in the Robert Whittaker pick. I picked for him a couple times, and Robert Whittaker every now and then just kind of underperforms to who he used to be, to the Bobby Knuckles. Now, that being said, it seems like he's motivated and agitated enough to kind of come back to his old winning ways. That's gonna be foretold, though, because it depends really if Marvin Vettori is also in there, because Marvin Vettori has that kind of a lackluster performance. I think Robert Whittaker loses the mental a little bit. And we've seen a lot of these older fighters and, older fighter shit. Robert Whittaker's my age. So the dude's not old at all, but old in the fight game, kind of somewhat lose their mental edge, lose their why, and lose the reason that they're doing this. And that's what Whittaker was talking about in that pre-fight presser, saying for a long time, I didn't know, I didn't know why I was doing this. I had to rediscover that. I have rediscovered it. So now he's back to that final form. But it's going to be interesting to see, Derick. What do you think? Do you think a mediocre or an underperforming Robert Whittaker can still beat the best Marvin Vettori possible? Or are we going to see some kind of mix-up there?
I think an off night Robert Whittaker who's able to keep the fight on the feet, yes, I think he can beat Marvin Vettori. The thing that scares me is one takedown from Marvin Vettori turns into like 4.5 minutes of control time. Like when he takes you down, it's issues, man. This dude's wrestling is legit. But the other thing that kind of worries me is what if he says, I'm going to prove a point? You know what I mean? And he says, I'm going to fight him the way I fought Paulo Costa. Let's not forget, he outstruck Paulo Costa, who came in overweight by how much pounds? Like 20 pounds, something ridiculous like that, right? He came in crazy overweight. And Marvin Vettori still says, I'm just going to beat you up. And he basically did, right? So he only landed one takedown in that fight, still won very decisively. And it was a performance of the night bonus right there. So I just kind of leave that for what it's worth. I just think the technical acumen in terms of striking for Robert Whittaker is the reason why he has a minus 135 decision prop. But I also think that number is a little absurd because once again, can you open up against a fighter? This is the same situation that we saw like week after week after week. Can you open up and have a real success against a fighter who every time you open up, they're diving at your legs? You know what I mean? Like, because Robert Whittaker, for an example, what does he love to throw? He loves to throw that out of that southpaw stance, right hand, and then that right high kick right over the top. Boom. But can you better be laser fast, because if not, all Marvin needs to do is crush the space. Boom. That's it. He got his arms wrapped around you, and now we're going for a ride. So when I do look at the numbers, aside from that ridiculous performance against Kevin Holland, which, Holland, it felt like he wasn't even taking it seriously. He notched 11 takedowns in that fight. Since then, 4 takedowns against Adesanya in the fight that he lost, and then only 1 takedown against Costa. Other than that, Hermanson took him down twice, right? Carl Robertson took him down twice. Cesar Fajeda took him down twice. And Cesar Fajeda is no joke, man. PFL killing the game, you know what I'm saying? So I'll just leave that for what it's worth. So Robert Whittaker, man, I do think that he should be the rightful favorite in this fight. I just think Marvin Vettori is the livest of live dogs here. The mental games, though, man, Whittaker has already seen this a million times over, right? He's seen dudes get angry with him and do all that. Do you think Vettori's going to psych? Do you think he needs it? I guess that's my question. I ask it every time he fights. Does he need it? Does he need to hype himself up? Is that why he does the antics? Is that why he does the fucking, I'm angry? You know what I mean? Is that why he's always doing that? What do you think?
I think so, man, especially because it seems like to be a common story. He starts off kind of storm brewing, and then the closer the fight gets, there's always something kind of makes angry Marvin, man. And then it's really become that kind of a moniker because he really does do the crazy, like the eyes, and, he'll get excited and he'll start going. And it seems like he needs a little bit of that, or else you're going to end up in the kind of same fight where it was Marvin Vettori versus, hold on, let me pull it up real quick. The Jack Hermanson still got the win, but wasn't really that like dominant, wasn't that pissed off. It kind of started getting that way with the Kevin Holland. But then you get angry Marvin where you got a pissed off dude in Paulo Costa and you go to prove a point. And I think that's where Marvin Vettori needs to fight, needs to feel like he's there to prove a point. Get angry, get mad, bully some dude up, beat him up, and still, even though he was angry against Paulo Costa, he still got the unanimous decision. So that right there kind of worries me a little bit because if he chooses to not, I guess it makes me excited for my pick because if you anger him up enough, he's there to prove a point. He's there to have a brawl, and that's where Robert Whittaker shines. He's seeing all this stuff, and if you could take a crack from Yoel Romero, bro, you can take a punch from a lot of people, and I think including Marvin Vettori.
No, absolutely, bro. I think that, if it turns down to that, Whittaker already has the advantage. I think he kind of runs away with it at this point. It's just a matter of, man, who gets their hands on who first. I mean, who's to say? Whittaker could get the takedown on Vettori, and then we could be just all aghast, like, oh my God, I didn't see this coming. But he had 4 takedowns against Adesanya, so you know what I mean? This dude, he can wrestle, bro. That's the whole entire point I'm trying to make. Whittaker is much more well-rounded than people think, but Vettori, in terms of being a specialist, he's a goddamn good grappler, man. So for that reason, oh, man, I can't go Vettori knockout, man. You're not going to knock out Whittaker. I could eat my words. I could be regretting this come Monday morning or, the Saturday night, whatever. I got Vettori, man. I'm rolling with the upset. I like the plus 200 right there. I really like that plus 350 because in terms of outcomes, submitting Whittaker, I don't see it. Knocking him out, I don't see it. Decisioning him, a boring fight, right? Oh, that's the Marvin Vettori special right there, baby. I'm going to decision, and I'm rocking the over, which is, AJ, just so we're clear, 2.5 rounds, minus 265 for the over. Let's go, Marvin Vettori. Who you got? How you got it?
Minus 265 for the
sir.
over. Man, I mean, as much as I don't want to pick a minus, 135 decision win for Robert Whittaker, the odds makers are seeing it that way. All the numbers are seeing it that way. Do I think that plus 385 is something you might want to throw a little money on for the TKO? Not really. That's a hard mountain to climb right there, man. So I'm rocking the decision. Even though it's a minus score, I'm still rocking with the decision for Robert Whittaker.
All right, right on, brother. And I will say Tapology, the way, the Tapology fans have it, about 85% of the fans think that Whittaker just runs away with it. So I'll just, Tapology is not always right. I'll just say that. All right, brother. Now we could breeze through a couple more of these fights. Those are the two ones I wanted to spend the most time. This is a fun one, man. Alessio Chirico versus Roman Kopylov, man. And Chirico, he's coming off of a loss, right? Abdul Razak Al Hassan, in kind of like a karmic justice way, knocks his fucking head off of his shoulders. Even though in the fight before that, he knocked Joaquin Buckley's head off of his shoulder. So it was karmic justice right there. But this is what I want to talk about. Before that, man, 3 losses. Zach Cummings, you get decisioned. Mahmoud Muradov, that's a great fighter, you get decisioned. Kevin Holland, you get decisioned, right? It is what it is. Now, if you're looking at his opponent, Roman Kopylov, he's off of a losing streak himself, right? Lost his last one to Albert Duraev, who is a great grappler. And then he lost to Carl Roberson. He got out-grappled by Carl Roberson, which I've already called before, right? I think it was the Khalil Roundtree fight where I was like, oh, Roberson's going to out-grapple him. And then what ended up happening? He just got demolished, right? But Robertson can grapple. That's the point that I'm making. Before that, 3-fight win streak outside of the UFC. Now, AJ, Roman Kopylov, in a normal situation, I would probably lean towards him if this wasn't Alessio Chirico, right? And the reason why is because in terms of a striker, man, Kopylov is as real as it gets, bro. This dude is nasty. He's dangerous. You look at the knockout prop, it's even between both. And I think that says a lot given that Chirico got heavy hands and legs and shins and the whole entire nine. Where have we seen him struggle, though, AJ? It's in the grappling, right? Look at the last 2 fights. Duraev and the other dude I just said, Carl Roberson, right? Those 2 fights. You get out-grappled. All right, now we got a little bit of a chink in the armor, I guess I should say, or you know what I mean? Just a blind spot. Pardon the stumbles. Alessio Chirico, man, very durable. Not getting knocked out very often, aside from his last fight, and you know what I mean? That is what it is. But if he can mix it up, so let's say he starts losing a little bit on the feet. If he can mix it up, that could be the X factor right there to be able to really take over this fight, man. So, in terms of just a better fighter, who do you think is the better fighter in this matchup?
The more well-rounded fighter, the better fighter I'd have to give to Chirico, man, because he's calculated, he's patient, very nice kicks, and what I like most about him, he has this very nice timing in the counters. He's willing to see things, use his eyes, get down there, and avoid the biggest shots of your opponent, and that's where I think he's going to have his best moments in the fight going for this one is in those patients, seeing the long, because what I like about Kopylov, he does these very long combos, man. He'll piece together a 4-punch combo that looks smooth and fast and then hit you with a very stiff left hand at the end. But if Chirico can avoid that, see those punches coming, and then dip underneath, get to the hips, get to a takedown, or work some kind of clinch move, cut an angle, actually push him up against the cage, start working a clinch that way. That's where I see Chirico getting his best work in. And if you're looking for, big bombs, man, Chirico can hit you with hands and legs, whereas Kopylov, yeah, he has that kind of stuff too, but he likes to plant. He's bouncy, and the attacks are coming. Kopylov likes to plant and then strike, and I feel like that's where Chirico can really shine, staying on those angles, cutting those angles off, and then really, doing the most of his damage. So if I had to give the more well-rounded fighter, the better fighter, I would definitely say Chirico has that one, but don't count out Kopylov, man, because this dude can crack you. This dude, like I said, with those long combos, you get distracted by the 3-punch, and then out of nowhere, that stiff left hand comes across. That's when he hurts you.
Yeah, man, he's a dangerous southpaw. But AJ, I think it's only appropriate I do this real quick. Breaking news, folks, man. So you see the numbers right here. You see the odds, money line, minus 125 to Chirico, plus 105 for Roman Kopylov. Well, if you take a look at ESPN right now or any other sports book, minus 110 a pop. It's a pick 'em, baby. So, hey, that might make me rethink things, but I won't. And the reason why is because now I see more value. I see much more value on Chirico right here. Pick 'em odds right here, -110, even money. Give it to me all day for Chirico, man. More durable. I don't think he's going to get knocked out by Kopylov, and he can grapple him. And, he has a tendency, a proficiency, maybe that's not the word, a propensity, that's the right word, to get the takedown. And, like I said, man, rack up some control time. I'm not going to say that this is a one-way traffic fight. I like Kopylov in the fight, but I like Chirico as the more well-rounded fighter, just as you spoke about earlier, man. I think this is going to be a fun fight. I think that's really what it comes down to. This is just going to be a plain old fun barn burner fight. I like Chirico here, and I think we're gonna. Man, give me the decision, man. God damn, I don't want to do this. Because 3 decisions in a row, and people are gonna be screaming bloody murder. Like, this is a terrible card. But give me the decision, because Roman Kopylov is gonna make this a fight, man. The only thing that worries me is gas tank just a little bit. You know what I mean? The gas tank does worry me just a little bit, but I think Chirico will get it done in a decision. Now the question is, do we want to just play it safe and take the -110? I think you should, folks. So this is my warning to you. Take the money line. Play the money line. Pick them. Value on Chirico. But if you really are like, I got to get a prop out there, plus 175 decision. AJ, how you see it?
Yeah, I think the money line, and this actual money line is shifting a lot, man, because when I looked at it last, I think it was Chirico -105, Kopylov -110, it's still the pick 'em. And then you can see these opening odds were a little bit different. Now they're shifting with the breaking news, man, -110 apiece. A lot of moving and shaking going on. So if you're going to be actually laying down some money on this bet, you got to go to Chirico. Straight across the board, -110, or even if you're feeling like going Kopylov, go Kopylov money line. Either way, I'm rocking Chirico, and I think the safest bet, I agree with you, Derick, is that if you need to get a prop in, you need to get the prop. The +175 decision is very, very likely lucrative. I think that's the way to go. I'm gonna switch it up though, Derick. I'm taking the risky one, man. I'm going TKO. I'm going +485 just to switch things up, just so that way we're not 3 decisions across the board. Because do I think the TKO can happen? Yes. Do I think it's the most likely to happen? Not so much, but I do think it can happen. So I'm rocking with the possibility that we're gonna see some blood in there, man.
Yeah, take the shot, brother. You got to take the shot every time. I will just say the over and under on this one, 2.5 rounds. So when is this TKO happening for you?
Over and under 2.5 rounds. I'm taking the under round 2.
Taking the under. Okay, there we go. And that over right there. I mean, you can't take it back now. You already get the pick, right? -185 for the over. So yeah. I will just say that. +155 for the under on that one. Hey, barn burner fight. This is going to be a fun one, man. But now we got a blast from the past, man. John Makdessi versus Nasrat Haqparast. And if you actually look at John Makdessi's last fight, it was 1 year and 4 months ago. And this was against a very, very, very talented prospect in Ignacio Bahamondes, which is actually why, like, if we're being real about the situation right here, it gives you some pause and it makes you want to say, do I really like Nasrat Haqparast's chances here? But the reason why we're probably saying that is because you're going to remember 2 fights that just took place, right? 6 months ago, he fought Bobby Green, got beat up by Bobby Green, got decisioned, right? But Bobby Green isn't Bobby Green. Bobby Green is the sleeper that'll put you on your ass. You know what I mean? If you're not careful, we already know this. He's the voice of the Bloody Water Podcast sleeper program. You know what I'm saying? But the fight before that, AJ, can you blame him? He fought Dan Hooker. It was like the shortest of short notice fights. Had to cut weight on the plane. Really was just doing the company a favor. And Dan Hooker came to wrestle. And he was like, I was not expecting this. I thought we were going to box. I thought I was fighting dangerous Dan Hooker, right? But you got a 2-fight losing skid. It's a little rough, right? But at the end of the day, my man, you're 27 years old. He's 27, bro. This dude is not even in the prime of his career yet. This dude is a dangerous man. Makdessi, he's at the twilight of his career, 37 years old. Big win against Bahamondes in a split decision. Bahamondes is a great striker, right? Split decision. Before that, he lost to Trinaldo. Wins against Pinedo. Wins against Ross Pearson. I mean, we're dating ourselves. Abel Trujillo, we're dating ourselves here, right? So my question is, does Makdessi, does lightning strike twice with my man? And can he get another big win on the board? Because he get another big win against a young gun like Nasrat Haqparast? I mean, brother, you got to keep fighting until you're 40 at this point, right? What do you think?
Can lightning strike twice? Yes. Do I think it's going to happen with somebody who is so well-trained, fighting out of TriStar, fighting with some of the best, and who has really good fundamentals in a lot of things, man? Very nice striking coming out of the Haqparast corner. I don't really think so, man. Especially because one of the things that worries me most about Makdessi is when the combos start flying, he's dodging punches, he's pulling the head back, he's leaning a little bit and trying to be flashy with it, giving us oh man, the ball guys. Give me the name, Derek. You already know the style.
The Dusko?
The Dusko, man, the Dusko treatment, pulling the chin back. I'm glad you knew what I was talking about, man. But the thing is, man, Makdessi, he is powerful and he's bouncy at range. He really likes the kicks too. So if you can see these kicks coming, man, that front side kick is fire for Makdessi. He's throwing it out there. He's using it as a jab. He's keeping you away. And then he's hitting you with some really heavy attacks after that, man. So can lightning strike twice? Yes. Do I think it's going to against Haqparast? Not necessarily, man. I think Haqparast is just has this style and has the training to be able to read these things that are going on against arguably a slower fighter in Makdessi. What do you think?
Arguably, but I will say Makdessi looked really sharp against Bahamanda, so it's just tough. The dude has had 3 fights in like the last 3 years. You know what I'm saying in terms of Makdessi. Haqparast has been more active, but the thing that really worries me about this fight, AJ, and it really does, like I had to put a lot of thought into this. Excuse me, Haqparast is primarily a boxer. That gives me a little pause because it didn't work out against Bobby Green. But then is Bobby Green your stereotypical striker? Like absolutely not. So it's just like you got to kind of throw that result out there. Even though you can't, you got to throw it out there. I will say the other thing that worries me is that if I see a method of victory for Nasrat Haqparast, the odds indicated to it's a decision, right? He hasn't knocked anyone out in the UFC, man. I don't think he's Joaquim Silva. That was in 2019, but that's the only knockout of his entire UFC tenure, right? So that's what troubles me. It's like it has to be a decision against John Makdessi. The longer the fight plays out, I like Makdessi. I don't like the cardio of Makdessi at 37 years old, but I like the prospects. Now, the thing that worries me, and I keep going over my worries, is that when I look at it again, I'm like, okay, Haqparast decision, be my 4th decision on the night. I mean, how often do we have these cards? You go to UFC Paris, you spend all your fucking money, and you have 4 of 6 fights, and like, and eventually someone has to get knocked out. But if you look at Makdessi as well, when's the last time this man's knocked someone out, man? You got to go down to 2015 against Shane Campbell. So that's the whole entire point. This is probably going to be a decision fest. I feel bad talking about it. I like Haqparast as the just more intelligent, quicker, youthful, more vigor. I like the boxing. The soul boxing troubles me, but I do think those last 2 losses have invigorated the man to say I'm 27 years old. I need to put it together now. And you want to always bet on the younger fighter versus the older fighter in a situation like this. Am I right or am I wrong there?
No, you're right, Derek. You're right. And the youthful age and the speed is kind of what worries me, because if you're a kicker and you have heavy kick attack like John Makdessi likes to do, all you got to do is get out of the way of the boulder that's coming down, and then you're inside and you're in boxing range. And I really like the boxing on Haqparast, man. High guard, wide stance. This dude can move. It's going to be an interesting fight nonetheless. And I'm rocking with Haqparast too, man. Yeah. All the worries aside, don't get me wrong, Makdessi, he is a dog in this fight, man, and he can get it done. And Haqparast is always down for a brawl. So if Makdessi can make this a scrap, then we're talking a little bit more, a toss-up here. I like Haqparast, though, still, man. And that, go ahead.
Over and under 2.5. How do you see that?
Over and under 2.5. Which one am I guessing is the favorite, man? I'd have to say the over.
Of course. Minus 265, brother. You know what I mean? It's like heavy. Take the over, smash the over. I'm going decision. You going the same way?
Going decision, brother.
God damn, man.
Glad I got my knockout in on the last fight.
You better hope it hits. You better hope it hits, bro. All right, man. So I will put that there, and I will also say go on Tapology. 82% of the voters think that Haqparast gets it done. 77% of those 82%, and I know we're doing weird math here, they think it'll get done by decision. So, I mean, bro, it's heavy. But we also know in mixed martial arts, the thing that everybody agrees on is generally not what happens. So who's to say? Maybe Haqparast gets a knockout on the board. I think Makdessi is durable, but you're 37 years old. So, anything else on that one, or are you ready to move on?
No, let's move it, brother.
All right, brother, let's move it. Now, quick one right here. William Gomis versus Jarno Errens, man. Striker versus grappler, but you have a very explosive striker in Gomis. Like, he's explosive, man. Everything he throws got some oomph behind it, right? Jarno Errens, in his grappling, I could say the same thing, but just like more towards his grappling. But we spoke earlier. We said Errens, he actually got some crack in his shots too, man. When he hits you, he hits you. I just don't think he's as specialized of a striker that, Gomis is. Now, when we're looking at records, right? Errens, he edges out the record just a little bit, right? 13-3-1 versus 10-2 of Gomis. But at the end of the day, if you look at his last fight, decision victory, you look at Gomis's last fight, it was a long, drawn-out fight until that third round, and then it was weird, man, because this dude is hammer-fisting this dude into oblivion, and I don't know if I watched it incorrectly, but it looked like he wasn't even looking at him while he was hammer-fisting him. Like, he was hammer-fisting, and he was just looking away, and he was just like, all right, ref, and pause, whatever. Hammer fist, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, what's up, bro? You gonna stop? Yep. All right, cool. Walk off. I got the job done, man. There's a confidence in Gomis that really kind of resonates out there, man. Do you feel the same thing for Errens, or do you, who... Fight style aside, all that stuff, just bravado, in terms of aura, who is the scarier fighter in this matchup?
Well, I think bravado-wise, it's Gomis. He talks a lot, and even in that last fight against Jose Marcos, he was talking about it where he's like, oh, I'm going to knock this dude out in the first round, bro. This is going to be easy one and done, some crazy shit like that. But then, I agree with you. It was more of all these shots were coming down, and it was more the ref had to step in than actually Gomis finishing the fight. He was really looking like, hey, man, you told this dude like 3 times he got to protect himself. He's not really, he just kind of guard up. So what's up? But the thing that interests me in this fight is that Errens, even in his last loss, which is against, let me pull it up real quick. His last loss against
name. Yeah, good luck on that name, brother.
I'll try Ozil Demir. Yeah, not even close, man. Pull it up so the people at home can see it, give it a shot on their own. He started to really lose that fight when he started getting flashy, when he started throwing stuff. When these crazy spinning attacks. That's how he got taken down, especially in the first round. And that's the kind of thing that worries me about Errens, because he can get where he feels comfortable and then start throwing these crazy things. But he has a very smooth 1-2, man. If he stays fundamental, he stays composed, and he throws that 1-2 down the pipe, very, very smooth. Where Gomis, man, this dude, he's flashy, bro. It's crazy slick striking, everything coming out of left and right, man, range, Muay Thai style. And nonetheless, if he's walking you forward or walking you back, he's always very, very dangerous and can catch you in a submission too. Yeah. So I feel like the more dangerous fighter is Gomis. But Errens is nothing to be squandered.
No, not at all, man. And you know what? This fight, and I'm going to have to hedge on this one, not hedge in terms of bet on this one and then pick something else, but I'm going to have to do something uncharacteristic on this one because the way I was looking at it, I was like, you know what? This is almost like you put a ball on the tee and you just line it up to hit, right? For Gomis and for a knockout, right? And I was like, bro, you got to do it. He's going to be walking forward. He's going to be trying to grapple you up. You're going to be able to sit down on those explosive shots and really do some damage. However, the way I look at it is if you hurt Errens, the last place you want to go is on the ground with him. You're walking into where he wants to be, you know what I'm saying? And then to me, a bunch of ties up, and then you're gonna squeak out a decision at the end of the day. However, I like Errens. Don't get me wrong. If he had a little bit better striking, I would really maybe kind of swing that way. I like Gomis here. And I'm actually going to go with the knockout on this one, brother. You know what I mean? That explosive style of him, man, throwing those nasty teep kicks to the body, doing some body damage, working the head, throwing the big shot. I just think that this dude is flashy. He's a slickster. You got a big cage, so it's going to be harder for the grappler. You got to think in all of these situations. I know I picked Vettori earlier, but the grappler is going to have their work cut out for them. It's a big cage, man. This ain't no Apex cage. So I like Gomis. I think he's going to be able to get the knockout here, put Errens away. This is a debut fight, though, man, so it's going to be tough to call. In terms of betting, honestly, this is a stay away. If we're being completely fair and honest here, this is a stay away. You don't even touch this one. But for the sake of the competition that we're running, I'm going to rock with the TKO and the over and under here. AJ, if you had to take a guess, what do you think it is?
Under.
Well, but
under's the favorite.
No, what do you think is the rounds? How many rounds?
Man, I'd say 1.5.
2.5, brother. But they like the under. They like the under, so we're rocking with the under on a TKO. Give me a first round TKO, brother. Give me the first round. How you seeing it?
Yeah, I agree with you, brother. This is, in all betting eyes, this is a stay away just because I can actually see this fight going a multitude of different ways, man. If Gomis gets a little too flashy in there, what I like about Errens is he has very fast hands, he stays bouncy, and he sits on those combos. He can see stuff coming, not the better striker by any means. And also Gomis has very great counter striking as well, man. I'm going Gomis. I'm going TKO. I'm taking the under as well, man, except I'm going to go round 2 knockout this time.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's some good likelihood of that happening right there. All right, my man. You got 2 TKOs on the board. Excuse me. I only got, this is, my first one, man. So we'll see what happens in this next fight. But that's your debutant fight, man. Good featherweight scrap, good debuts, and got some French fighters on the board. So you know what time it is. Now, this one, I understand why you start off the card with it, man. Kick it off with some excitement. Jourdain versus Nathaniel Wood. Now, I'm going to just keep it short, sweet, to the point. Once again, we're concise here, right? Jourdain, he's a powerhouse, man. He has the power advantage. He's going to walk you down. Cardio is nonstop. You know when he needs to throw out 40 punches in a quick spurt, he can do it. Nathaniel Wood, here's the problem. I think his speed is going to give Jourdain issues, bro. Nathaniel Wood is fast. He is fast. However, AJ, here's the kind of other caveat to that. Nathaniel Wood, let's just take a quick peek, right? If you look at Nathaniel Wood and you say, all right, Nathaniel, you know what I mean? You're a nasty fighter. You're a good fighter, right? But what have you done recently? You know what I mean? Like, what have you done as of late to really make you stand out? Well, that big win against Charles Rosa was very important. But if you look at it, man, it's like Charles Rosa, I think, came down in weight or went up in weight. It was a short notice fight. It was kind of one of those weird situations, right? Otherwise, you have, just to be clear on this one, let me see, bantamweight. Yes, Nathaniel Wood, normally a bantamweight fighter, right? So it's the weird weight mix-up. Bantamweight fighter moving up to featherweight, right? So yeah, you're going to have some extra mass on you. You're going to be ready to go. But Charles Jourdain, man, this is bona fide, tried, true. You're ready to go. You're established. You fought the killers of this division already. You just fought a Shane Burgos, right? Which arguably you won the fight, right? He's fought, who else has Charles Jourdain fought as of late, man? Let's take a look, man. Let's run through the record recap. Last 5, Shane Burgos, Lando Venata, when he put it on Lando, that was nice. Andre Ewell putting it on him. Come on, bro. That was a mismatch in terms of like heights and intangibles and whatnot. Julian Erosa, you get Darce in a fight that you were very competitive in, and then Marcelo Rojo, you knock him out, and that was a war of attrition fight. I think when it comes down to it, man, I really, really, really like Jourdain. I just think Nathaniel Wood is the dude to play spoiler. Like, he is the dude who stylistically can be just so fundamentally correct that he can kind of stifle a lot of the really good things about Jourdain. What scares you about Nathaniel Wood in this matchup?
Man, the footwork all day long, because it's smooth. He's quick. And when you have somebody that has a striking acumen of Jourdain who can knock out that 40 punch combo, man, it gets going. How quick your footwork really does matter, man, because if you can cut off those angles, you can get to something where he's not really seeing you. Nathaniel Wood is that guy, and it does give me a little bit of pause for concern, man, because Nathaniel Wood has very good reads in there. Mm-hmm. We saw in his last fight, who was it against? It was you're talking about earlier, Charles Rosa. We saw it in the Charles Rosa fight. Nathaniel Wood was able to see the things coming, read the fight, and then get his movement going, where he really put it to Boston strong Charles Rosa in that fight, man. So that's kind of the biggest thing that worries me about Nathaniel Wood getting the upset here, is he can see things going. His fight IQ is really, really high, especially fighting at his normal weight and having the time to do the research. You know that our Jourdain is named that for a reason, because this dude has some crazy spinning stuff. He'll throw, flying knees, vicious knees in the clinch, man. And he has like these sneaky sweeps, which I really, really like about Jourdain. But I don't know if the footwork of Nathaniel Wood is going to be there to get caught with all of those attacks that Jourdain likes to throw. What do you think?
Yeah, man. No, I agree with everything that you said. Nathaniel Wood, he has a lot of finishes on his record too. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, he's not just this decision machine. Charles Jourdain, he has a propensity to not really finish a ton of fighters, you know what I mean? But I do think that for him, let's just take a look real quick at Charles Jourdain. Pull it up again. All right, man. So he beat Venata. He submitted him. He knocked out Rojo, yeah. But then you got to go a couple fights until you get another win. Duho Choi, that was a good knockout victory right there. Damian Lapalus, that was a good knockout win right there. You got guillotines. But we're talking about way back 2019 and whatnot, you know what I mean? As of late, you got the decision to Burgos. You got the decision for Ewell, you got the decision for Kulabau, decision for Feely, decision for Des Green, so I'm just saying, when it comes down to a guy who could really bring it and you're going toe to toe, I could very well see a decision here, even though this is going to be fireworks. This is going to be nonstop violence right here. Everything you said, man, it lines up. Nathaniel Wood is a scary, scary man here, but you kind of got to say, well, this is the dude who is already comfortable at this weight class. That power of Jourdain, that is the one intangible, or I guess tangible, X factor, whatever you want to call it, that I'm saying, that's what makes me say, I got to go Jourdain. You know what I mean? Like, I got to go Jourdain. Even though Nathaniel Wood is so good of a fighter, bro. I'm telling you, so good of a fighter. I can't rave about him enough. You almost can't not rave about Charles Jourdain enough, too, because look at the run that he's on right now. Like, this is literally the run. This is the moment. So, AJ, man, cut to the chase. Over and under here, 2.5 rounds. What do you think is the favorite, the over or the under?
Over.
Over, and you're right. -125 with a -105 comeback for the under. Now, I mean, what's your pick, man? Jourdain, you going decision, you going knockout, submission? How you see it?
I'm going Jourdain and I'm going decision just because Nathaniel Wood is very. Both of these fighters are very, very game in the scrap. So I see Jourdain being the more likely fighter to get the finish in this one. But I mean, Nathaniel Wood can also get a finish too. So this is a close one. But I'm going decision just because they're both very, very durable as well, man. What about you?
I'm gonna be a nut, man. I'm gonna be a fool, and I'm gonna go out the box and look at the difference between the decision and the TKO prop for Charles Jourdain. 215 decision, 225 for TKO. They're very, very similar. They're almost too similar. It's almost too good to be true. Give me the TKO. Give me the TKO, brother. And the reason I say give me the TKO is because the one thing that Nathaniel Wood has, but not nearly as much as Jourdain, is that just like otherworldly explosive athleticism that Jourdain has, man. Throwing flying knee to a spinning back elbow to 20 strikes to body shots to go for a body lock. Like, it's like he does all of that so well, so quick. Unless Wood can use his footwork to mitigate that, man. When Charles Jourdain goes downhill, he gives people problems, bro. So give me Jourdain. And with that being said, that is your main card, folks. Literally, it feels good to be back. That's all I gotta say, man. UFC Paris, let's go, baby. So listen, folks, where are we at? We're about like an hour 05 right now. We're not going to take up too much more of your guys' time. We like to keep this program, you know what I mean, concise, to the point. But AJ, real fast, I just want to shout out a couple of prelim fights and then just give me a quick thought on it. So for one, man, we definitely have, let's talk about the fight that we said this needs to be on the main card, but it's stuck in the prelims. Nasrat versus Joaquin Buckley. First off, quick thought. Why is this on the prelims?
Not sure, man. Not sure at all, especially because Imavov is a French fighter as well. So you think they'd want to highlight their guys, but maybe Joaquin Buckley pissed somebody off. I don't know, man. Why do you think this one's on the prelim? This is the one fight where I thought, oh, yeah, they could sub this one in for the two French fighters in Gomis and Errens, but I don't know why. What do you think?
Well, first off, man, because we said that it was Gomis and Errens were two French fighters, but Errens isn't French. I think this dude's Russian. Their flag's colors are similar, red, white, and blue, right? It's just forward versus vertical, right? So you got a Russian and a Frenchman. So, yeah, pissing somebody's Cheerios, bro. I have no idea. Joaquin Buckley, especially because they want to show this dude's highlight against Impa Kasanganay like every 5 minutes still, right? It's like years out, they're still showing. It was an incredible knockout. But, yeah, give the man some love. I don't know why, but there's going to be a banger. You guys need to tune into it. Who are you favoring in that fight?
Ooh, that's a close one, man. I'm kind of favoring Imavov, but that's a very hard one to choose.
You know
what about you?
I'm glad that you said that it's a close one because the odds makers don't think that. The odds makers think this is going to be a landstorm, right, or whatever you want, a landslide for Imavov, which I think is a great fighter. But Joaquin Buckley just showed us in our last fight. You get close, you better have a chin ready to go because he's going to put it on your ass, man. Like, Joaquin Buckley deserves so much more respect than he's getting right now currently. Listen, Stephanie Egger versus Ilia Perez, man. I've been following her for a little bit. She's good, bro. She's good. And Stephanie Egger, let's just say, coming off of a huge win, right? Or actually, what is she? Or is she? No. She's coming off of the controversial, no, I didn't tap. No. What, me? No, none of that, right? After that big win against Jessica Rose Clark. So she needs to get back in the win column definitively. I don't know. How do you feel, man? Do you think she got something to prove? Like that, I feel like that never got addressed. Like, I never got closure from that. What happened? You know what I'm
saying? I never got closure from it, man. I think she has a lot to prove in this next fight. I think she really wants to get one in and kind of let everybody forget about the ghost tap that did happen or that didn't happen, however you want to see it. Ilia Perez, though, is a very game fighter that not a lot of people know. So I'm glad it's opening up the prelim card because you're going to be able to see a lot of really good talent coming out of the Perez corner as well.
Absolutely. And then we don't got time to cover these last two, man. But just know, Faraz Ziam, the smile killer, he's back. Dustin Stoltzfus, he's back. It's going to be some fun fights, man. I'm so happy. I'm so happy, and I cannot wait until Saturday night to watch these fights. So, folks, that is your program right there. I do want to give a little bit of an update right here, and now that we're in the intro. So if you stuck around to this point, oh, man, shout out to you. We love you. All the fun stuff. You're going to see some Twitch links below. You're going to see the TikTok below. The one thing I want you guys to focus on is this right here in the middle. My guy, AJ. Check out his Twitch. Twitch.tv/Santa Fe Bomber. Now with life and things of that nature, right? I was doing it big with the Tap Napper Snap. We're putting a little hiatus, all of the streaming and all that stuff. You need to head over to my man's channel because not only is he doing the fight breakdown, the film study and all that stuff, but we're doing the gaming, Escape from Tarkov. I still don't know what the fuck that is, but you know what I'm saying? My man is getting down. AJ, talk to the folks a little bit. Give yourself a quick little ad on it.
Yeah, brother, go check it out. Santa Fe Bomber, even across all platforms right there. You already know, but we out there gaming. Basically, as much as I can, I'm trying to get to this new schedule, but basically every single night, man, there's a lot of chat we're going in on where we're talking, nonetheless, gaming all the time, but we're doing fight breakdowns. We're doing a lot of the in-depth stuff that you don't really, we get here and we try to talk, as concise and as quick as possible, but I'm actually sitting there watching all these fights, breaking them down with you. Gonna be doing fight companions coming up very, very soon. So we're in there getting that inside view of what y'all like to see, whether it's fights, whether it's just hanging back, talking with the homies, or whether you like seeing some gaming, getting the adrenaline pumped up. Either way, we got it over there on the Twitch channel, man. Santa Fe Twitch.tv/Santa Fe Bomber. It's a lot of fun, and like Derick said, I'm taking the brunt of a lot of the live streaming. So go in there, drop a follow, get your homie to affiliate, man, and say what's up. Drop a follow, hop in chat, have a communication. What I like most about Twitch is we can actually have a genuine communication, a back and forth, where you're communicating not only to me but also to the rest of the chat that's out there, and you guys are having this back and forth. We're having this rhetoric that we can actually get things going, and you can kind of give me a little inside information on what you also want to see, which is one of the best things I like about that. You can give that in-depth, like, oh yeah, no, I really like what y'all are doing here. Have you ever thought about this? It's like, bro, fuck yeah, perfect, exactly. We want to hear your feedback. We want to hear your comments, and we always love and appreciate the follows, the subscriptions, all that jazz going forward. So drop by, give us a follow, hop in chat. And the thing a lot of people don't realize, man, you might, you're logging in, you're watching the chat. I can't see who's on there. I can't see who's logging in. So you gotta hit the chat box. Tell me you're in, man, so I can give you a shout out on the show as well. And that way, hopefully next week I won't forget all y'all, man. I'll actually have a little note going down who I gotta remember to give a shout out to for the homies that are dropping by the Twitch.
And speaking of this, I feel terrible. I feel terrible because it's taken me this long to remember, but I did not forget about you. If you rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts at, so we will shout you out on the show. I got to throw a major shout out to my guy, David Halpo. First off, I'm pretty sure my man is streaming in over from Ireland. I'm not even joking with you guys, from Ireland. So shout out to the man. This should have been at the very precipice at the front of the show, so I apologize. But if you're a real one, you watched the entire program and you saw you got a whole minute. Maybe I'll give you a minute and a half dedicated to you, my man. I'm pretty sure my man is following his own combat sports kind of endeavors himself. He's trying to go do some amateur stuff or do some international, like Olympic level type stuff. I could be a little fuzzy with the details. Here's the point. I met this man over Twitch. I met this individual over Twitch, right? And we were just chatting it up, all that good stuff. My man was hitting me up on the fight companions. We were just chopping it up. But this is the whole entire point of Adrian's story, is that it's just like, listen, just join in, and you actually get like personal access to the opinions. We keep it like, if I could make this podcast 3.5 hours, like we would, right? But we can't, because nobody wants to listen to 3.5 hours of a podcast. But you check out my man on Twitch and you get that. So shout out David Halpo for rating us 5 stars on Spotify, I believe. But hit us up on the Apple Podcast, on anywhere you get it. And if you screenshot it, send it to me, send it to AJ, either one. Hit us up on Instagram, Twitch, whatever your social media is, right? Hit us up. We gonna shout you out. You know what time it is. It's the Bloody Water Podcast, baby. Your favorite fighter's favorite fight show. We don't even got to say it again because you already know what time it is. Folks, it feels so good to be back, but that's it for us. We will holla at you on the post show. And yeah, AJ, any last words, brother? Or is that it? Well, that's a good show, right?
That's a great show, man. I do want to give another shout out to David, your homie David, man. I saw him in the Discord D77, bro. Yep. Thank you for the love as always, man. Give you a little extra love because you do shout out the podcast on Spotify and all the homies that are out there listening too as well on Spotify. Like Derick said, we'd love and appreciate the support. But other than that, man, I'm excited for these fights this week, brother.
You dig, man. So holla at us in the comments. We will reach back. But that's it for us, folks. Until next time. Peace.